Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dazzle Glow Sparkle with Ava Lynn. Today, we're going to be talking about early signs you may be dating a narcissist. And if you are new to this channel, please stick around. Please check out this video, and hopefully, you'll enjoy it enough to want to subscribe to this channel so that you can continue to receive more content such as this. And just so that you have a little bit of background on this channel was developed in part to support women who have had to deal with narcissistic relationships and giving you the knowledge that you need to empower you to do what you got to do so that you can dazzle, glow, and sparkle in all that you do. Sometimes that may be sticking it out for a little bit longer. Sometimes that may be just understanding what you're dealing with for a little bit. And then eventually, I'm hoping that you can go no contact and be able to leave safely and get rid of them for the rest of your life, literally. But I know that sometimes things may not necessarily be that simple. However, at some point, you just got to know that dealing with narcissistic people is not something that's really sustainable. For you to be healthy and for you to be mentally stable and for you to be happy, it's not going to happen with a narcissist. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. Also, the other reason for this channel is to also give you other additional information about other topics that can help you as well with being able to dazzle, glow, and sparkle in all that you do on other topics as well. So again, if you are in support of that content, please hit that subscribe bell, like the video, and stay tuned for more content. All right, so we're going to jump right in today. We're going to be talking about a few different things that you could be looking for and steer clear of. So these are going to be like huge red flags that may come across as charming or may come across as something that may just kind of sound and feel somewhat normal, right? Some of these things I'm going to go over today, maybe some things that you may have heard people say just in a normal situation. They may not, that may not necessarily be a narcissist to say some of these things, but if you hear some of these things being said and you start to realize that there's a pattern, then you might be dating a narcissist. And hopefully you're in a position that you can be able to catch this video and understand some of these things to look out for and hopefully steer clear or end early with that particular person. If you notice that there's a pattern, you notice that they might be a narcissist, it's important for you to be able to identify that early on and get out before you get yourself in a deeply involved relationship. Where you guys are, moved in together, married, having children, and that sort of thing. Hopefully, I can save someone from having to go through the heartache, headache, and frustration of dealing with that. All right, so first things first, it always starts with the love bombing. So if you're unaware of what love bombing is, essentially love bombing is where they charm you to death. They literally charm you to death. They're so charming. It's over the top charming. It is so charming that it's like unreal, literally. They may tell you how beautiful you are, and I mean that's something that a normal person would do, right? If it stopped right there, that would maybe be a nice guy then. If that was it, just tell you how beautiful you are, and that was it. That would be okay. I'd keep listening, okay? But it doesn't stop with that. They tell you how beautiful you are. Oh, they just tell you how special you are, and then the next thing you know is they want to start putting some money into things for you, right? So before you know it, they're going to be buying you flowers, boxes of candy. They're going to be offering to get your hair done, offering to get your nails done, offering to go ahead and give you that mani pedi. They may see your nails. If they may come around and maybe you guys go on a quick date or something, or maybe you're just chit chatting and maybe they see your cuticles or something sticking out and they just like, oh, well, I'd be more than happy to get your nails done for you. If they are offering all of this stuff within a very short period of time, it may be could be an indicator that they may be a narcissist. So you just, you can reject it for the moment if you want, or if you want to accept it, that's on you. Um, I kind of keep my guard up, and so I don't really accept too much gifting on the front end until I kind of get to know the person. I just say, well, I'm not quite comfortable with you giving me gifting me anything. I'm not really comfortable with, um, you paying for my nails to get done. Well, for me, I can always just say that's not really my thing because hardly ever have my nails painted. So that's just not, that's not really my thing. I'm not really into that too much. I do it a little bit, but I spend a lot of time at the computer, so I don't really like that. I don't like anything on my nails. I don't like any polish because it's always chipping, and I just don't like it, right? So that's kind of how I wiggle out of getting that from them. If it's someone who just keep on offering early on, um, there are some other things that you can do. Obviously, if you do want to accept the gift, sure, hey, why not? But just understand, if you accept that gift, they're going to be expecting that there's going to be other things that you're going to have to do to keep that going if they're truly a narc. Okay. And I will be saying narc for narcissist. So those going to be used interchangeably. So that love bombing is real though. So again, it may accompany compliments. And then, like I said, they may surprise you one day. Um, with like I said, those flowers, box chocolates, again, offering to pay for services for you to, feel beautiful and feel relaxed. They may pay for you to get a massage. You just tell me where you would like to get a massage at, and I will pay for it for you because I just think you're just the most beautiful creature on earth and you just deserve that. If they're talking like that, that's ding 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 ding, red flag for they might be a narc. But you keep listening, you keep paying attention, keep um, listening and watching out for stuff before you classify them as narc. And of course, you don't need to tell them that they may be a narc. You're listening to this for yourself so that you can identify them. And if you can identify, hey, they do have some narky ways, then you can figure out how to exit that relationship, like I said early on, before you get yourself locked down with them. Okay, so um, a couple other things during that love bombing phase. They may also offer to um, do some other things for you. I mean, it's possible. I mean, the list goes on and on. It can be anything. They may do some weird stuff, right? And even pop up. They might pop up after a few weeks or so. They might pop up at your job. I just came to surprise you. They may have flowers, or they might pop up at your job with something to eat for lunch. If you told them, your favorite restaurant or something like that. And in a way, yeah, it kind of feels very nice and generous, but it also should feel a little creepy too, right? Like, I don't want you popping up at my job if I only know you for a couple weeks, right? I want you popping up at my job. Don't be popping, you know, don't bring me lunch. Don't do any of that. Kind of creepy, okay? Because I didn't ask you to do that. you know, may even get some flowers sent to your job. They may send some flowers to your job. Oh, you have a flower arrangement or edible arrangement, sent to your job. Yeah, that feels kind of weird. Yeah, yeah. So be on the lookout for that sort of thing. All right, so that's love bombing. So yes, if that's happening, then just keep on looking out to see if you see other signs that follow. All right, next thing we're going to talk about gaslighting. Okay, so if you have been tuning into anybody's channel about narcissism, then you know that gaslighting is when they try to deny your reality. So it may be a simple thing. It may be something as simple as, I'm going to call you back. They tell you that they're going to call you back, and then they don't call. Then the next day they say, hey, why didn't you call me back last night? Or hey, why didn't you call me yesterday? And then in your head, you know that the last thing that you heard was, I'm going to call you back, right? So you didn't call them. Maybe let's just say you didn't bother to call them back because they said that they were going to call you back. So you had already talked to them yesterday early on, and they hadn't called you back yet. So you're not going to blow their phone up. You're like, okay, well, I guess he'll call me back whenever he gets a moment. Then with that particular situation right there, with the moment that they open their mouth and say, well, why didn't you call me yesterday? Or, hey, I didn't hear back from you yesterday evening. What happened? Is everything all right? That's the gaslighting. because they already know good and well that they told you that they're going to call you back and they didn't call you back. That's your gaslighting. So, or it can be any topic, really. And I'm just giving a quick example of something that may happen early on, when you're first kind of quote unquote dating someone. Um, but it can be any topic where they are denying the reality. And yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, you could go and grab your phone and, say, hey, actually, you said such, 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 such. You sent me a text message that said you're going to call me back, or whatever. But the thing with gaslighting is, um, it's best to not point it out to them. If you think that you're dealing with a narcissist, it's best to really not necessarily point it out because you are really just wanting to point it out for yourself. It's important that you know what you're dealing with so that you know that you're not the crazy person in the room, right? Now, if you wanted to, since it's super early on in a relationship, maybe in a couple of weeks in, you could point it out to them just to say, "Hey, here is the text message. Here is the screenshot. You said that you were going to call me back, so I was just waiting for you to call me back so I wouldn't bother you, because, you were busy or whatever." So you could do that early on. And then if you saw that there is a pattern of them still denying things, even though you know for a fact that they said XYZ when they try to deny that they did, then you know that you're dealing with someone who's a narcissist. So, either way, you know that they're gaslighting you. And certainly if it's something about, could even be something about maybe early on in a relationship, you tell them a particular thing that you um, don't like to do. Maybe you tell them, I'm not really into scary movies like that. And then maybe they, will say, hey, well, maybe in a couple of weeks or whatever, they would say, hey, well, maybe you can come on over and we can watch a movie together. I like to watch whatever scary movie. And I like to watch that with you. And then you're sitting there like, that you already told them that you don't like scary movies and they're gonna call out a horror movie, then but they want you to come over and hang out with them while you watch this horror movie, right? It's almost like they're still trying to deny your reality, even in that situation, right? Because you already told them that you don't like those kind of movies. So why on earth would I want to come over? Even if I'm with you, I still don't like that kind of movie, right? So let's watch something different, is what you really want to say. But you really, anytime that they're trying to deny your reality or the actual reality that happened or that occurred, they could be just, hey, I didn't do that, or hey, I didn't say that. And you know good and well that they did. They're just telling a bold-faced lie. That is your gaslighting. And that will happen if you're actually dealing with a narcissist. Now, it may not happen it may not happen early on. And all of these different signs, they are going to be rather randomly placed and sporadic, possibly. They're not going to be things that you can always pick up on, like on the first day or the first date, but there are things that you will be able to pick up on if you're attentive and you're paying attention. You're going to start to hear certain things. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. So if you say something, if you're having a conversation, we're going to get into the next one now. If you're having a conversation and they have a weird reaction or a snarky remark, you may be dealing with someone who's trying to shame you or guilt trip you into doing something. I got a perfect example for this one. All right, let's say again, we're still in the same scenario here. So, guy is potential narc, lady is, you are a friend, and you are, let's say that again, we've been dating this guy for a couple weeks now. Okay, so we're going to, let's say we're going to go on our first date, or maybe, yeah, we're going to go on a date. Okay, so we're going on our first date. Okay, we've already figured out the restaurant, everything, whatever, and you go on this first date and you've already prefaced this first date. Let's just assume that you've already prefaced this first date with hey, this is our first date or whatever, it's I really want to be home by 11 o'clock. I don't have, I mean, obviously we're all adults. We don't necessarily have a curfew, but maybe you got to take care of some business. Maybe you got to do something for work. Maybe it's the weekend, whatever. Anyway, for whatever reason, let's just say you have prefaced the date with, hey, I want to be home by 11 o'clock. Because maybe you got an early morning, maybe you got an appointment in the morning. I don't know, whatever the reason. That's your prerogative. That's your opinion. That's what you want. That's what you've asked for. Okay. Let's just say that you've made it very clear that you want to be home by 11 o'clock. Okay. All right. So let's say you're going to go on this date. You go on the date, you're chit chatting, you're having a great time, blah, 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 blah. And then they look around and say, oh, well, we certainly better get you out of here. Wouldn't want to make you late for your bedtime. That sounds like a smart aleck remark, right? If you just said that you want to be back home by 11, you didn't indicate that it was for bedtime, right? You didn't indicate that you have a curfew, right? You just indicated that you want to be home by that time so that you could take care of something, right? Again, whether it's an early morning appointment, whether it's, hey, you trying to clean up your house before you go to bed, whether it's you are just exhausted. Maybe you're just exhausted. You've had a really long day. You've been up since, 5 o'clock that morning. Maybe been up since 5 a.m., 11 o'clock. Hey, you ready to call it a day? Okay. It could be any reason. Whatever the reason doesn't matter. But the part that matters is that you preface the date with telling them, hey, I want to be back home by 11. And they were totally disrespectful in a way to have a snarky remark to say, oh, well, we want to make sure that you get home by your bedtime. Or if they say something else along the lines of that same scenario, if they were to say something else, a different variation of it, by saying something to the extent of, well, we want you to get past your curfew. That sounds like a very snarky remark as well. So again, a respectful man, a real man, a man who's not a narcissist would say, hey, I see it's getting late. We better get on out of here. Something like that. Something super simple, general to let you know that you're acknowledging, that they're acknowledging what you have requested, right? And it's a very respectful way that can be said. Hey, we better get out of here. Or and then, or hey, are you ready to go? Or, is everything all right? You ready to head out now? Something like that sounds so much better. It's so respectful and it shows that the person really cares and that they value what you have to say about, getting home at 11 o'clock, say. Okay. Or maybe it's just because it's the first date. Whatever the reason, it doesn't matter what your reason is. It just matters that they try to have a snarky remark. So, snarky remarks, it means that they're trying to guilt trip you or shame you and try to make you feel bad about your values. And if that's your values, if that's something that is a value of yours, then hey, snarky remark, there's no room for that. So now if they're love bombing and they're gaslighting and they got the snarky remarks and reactions, that's weird, then hey, might be dealing with a narc. So keep your eyeballs open. Keep your eyeballs open now. Now I got another one too for this one. So um, let's say a few weeks go, but a few weeks go by. Let's say I know that we've been talking about couple weeks. Let's say it's been about 3 weeks. Okay, so you've been talking to this person about 3 weeks. So they ask you one day, hey, when do you think you might be comfortable to come hang out with me at my house? And you're like, well, I'm not there yet. Hey, I'm just still getting to know you. I'd rather we continue to meet out in public. I'm just not ready to come to your house. And then they may follow up with, oh, you're a little old timey. Or they may say, and it's kind of like an insult, really. Or they may say something to the extent of, well, I'm a really nice guy and I'm a nice gentleman. I just don't understand why you're not ready to come and hang out with me at my house. I'm not trying to have sex with you. I'm not trying to get in your pants. I'm not trying to, get you alone or anything. I'm just trying to spend some time together. We need some quality time. I'm trying to get some quality time. If they say some garbage like that, any of that, any variation of it, they are a narc. And they're rushing the relationship and they're pushing you to do what they want you to do on their time, on their clock, on their schedule. And they're trying to make you feel bad about it and make you feel bad about your values. They don't value your values and they don't value your boundary that you're setting. you have a boundary, right? Because you're still getting to know this person. That could be crazy. You don't know. And that's why these signs are so important so that you can know before you go that you're dealing with a narc so that you won't go. Okay? Cancel that. Cancel everything. Lose my number. However you want to do it. But I want you to know these things and so that you are very, very familiar with them and you can just be like, you know what? I've seen blah, 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 blah. No, I'm all out. All right. So next up, if they're telling you a story and they seem to have some inconsistencies, that's a problem. That's a big red flag. Let's say during that course of the 3 weeks, let's say the first week that you were talking, maybe they said that their last relationship was 3 years ago. Okay. And you remember this. Maybe you remember this because you got a great memory. Let's say you remember. Okay. And then by the third week, they're saying, oh, well, I've been single for 4 years now. So I've been out here just being single um, and single life is good, but I'm ready to settle down. Statement like that. Okay, decent statement, but you notice the inconsistency between the 3 years that they told you in the week number one to the 4 years that they told you in week number three. Okay, so with that being the case, that's an inconsistency. That means that something in your story is not quite right. Or if you ask them for details. I think that the most interesting part about getting to know someone early on, especially in a relationship, is getting to ask them about all those details. Because you clearly don't know anything about them. You don't know what happened. You don't know whatever the question is that you all are talking about, whatever it is that you're having a conversation about. Chances are you know nothing about it, which means it's a perfect opportunity for you to ask questions. And you can go in with follow up questions, clarification questions, and get those details. And then, should something else come up, they may make some general blanket statements. And then, should something else come up or a different topic come up, they may have a totally different response for a very similar situation. So, it's important for you to be listening to those inconsistencies. Now, you don't necessarily have to point them out, but again, it's just for you to know, hey, he told a lie about that, or hey, there was an inconsistency about that. There's an inconsistency about that. Hmm. Just get you thinking, okay? But now if you got all these different things happening all at once, then like I said, you maybe know that it's time to go. All right, so any kind of inconsistencies that they have about their past, it may be about previous previous relationships, previous activities that they've done. It could be any kind of previous jobs that they've worked in, any types of roles that they've had, um, places that they've lived, any kind of details that you just might randomly be having a random conversation and you just notice that they kind of said something and then they said something else later in time and it just didn't match up. Yeah, be on the lookout because if it's true, it's true. And if it's true, then every time you tell it, it's going to be told the same way if it's your past, right? But now, if you're trying to make up some lies, then we're going to have those inconsistencies. All right. Next up, if they talk about some previous relationships, because at some point you may just say, well, hey, listen, I'd like to know about some of your previous relationships. Or, hey, why, you seem like a good guy. Why are you single? All right. Okay. If you ask that question and they follow up with, oh, well, I was with somebody, or you say, well, what was the last relationship that you had or something like that? Okay. They come back with, oh, my crazy ex. Pause. Be on pause alert now. Narc alert. Narc alert. Narc alert. All right, guys. And by the way, I'm coining that phrase. You heard it here first. Yes. Narc alert. Narc alert. Narc alert. If they say they got a crazy ex, narc alert. Just be straight up on the narc alert. Okay, so just because someone has a crazy ex does not automatically make them a narc, of course. However, if they have if they have crazy ex or crazy exes, narc alert. So what that means is that you need to be looking. So be looking, be listening, keep your narc alert up. So we listen. Okay. So you may ask, okay, well, What made you, I don't know if you have follow-up questions for that. I don't know how you really want to follow that up. It may be like, okay, well, you had a crazy ex. Okay, well, hey, haven't we all had a crazy ex? All right, sure, you play along. And then you may go into this thing about wanting to know, well, what are some things that your ex used to do that were crazy, right? Or, you know, um, you may even ask them about, um, let's say, maybe, tell me about a scenario that your ex was being super crazy. Or, you may ask a couple questions like that. Pay attention, look, listen. See how they talk about their ex, because that right there is going to let you know if you're dealing with a crazy narc who drove their ex to be crazy, or if you're just dealing with someone who just happened to really have a possible crazy ex, right? But look at them and listen. Listen very intently. Pay attention. If you notice that their tone of voice changes at any point in that conversation and they seem to get upset and angry, pay attention. Pay attention. If you notice that they're going to talk about this crazy ex and how, they were spying on them and they were following them and they were doing all of this crazy stuff and um oh my gosh, my crazy ex would she would try to yell and scream at me and blah blah blah. Whatever the story is, right? Pay attention. See if they are doing the projection thing. All right. See if the crazy ex is exhibiting quote unquote narc tendencies. See if what they're describing is actually themselves. So just listen, nod, follow along, go along with it, play along, but in your head, lock in details. Because if they're talking about their crazy ex, or if they have a series of crazy exes, or if they keep telling you, well, yeah, that was another crazy ex, or, hey, oh, that was a crazy ex. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be on narc alert. Narc alert. Narc alert. Pay attention. If they keep saying things like, I just don't know, she was just obsessed with me, or anything like that, you could be dealing with a narcissist, okay? They're gonna always say that their exes are crazy. But what a narc is not ever gonna tell you is why their exes were crazy. They may tell you some of the things that they did, but they're not going to tell you why their exes was crazy. Because if it's a narc, they are the reason why the exes was crazy. Okay, let's just be all the way real. So if it's a narc, they're going to try to make this person out to be a villain. You're going to see, and then you just let the conversation go. You just keep on letting them talk and just let them talk and get it all out. Because if they're truly a narc, chances are they're gonna have nothing positive to say about that ex at all. They're gonna completely trash that ex. Straight up. You're gonna watch them trash that ex. If they do that, they are a narc. When you bundle that up with all these other things, especially. Okay. Um, you may even get to a point in a conversation where maybe at some point you say, well, how did you and your ex fall in love? Or something like that. You may ask a question like that, and boy, if they go crazy again with in love, well, I really never was in love with her. Blah. And they start going off and getting all crazy and their voices going up and they're getting loud. Yeah, you might be dealing with a narc. Now, I also, in this one, I'm also going to go ahead and just say that again, if they are continuing to go on about this ex for an astronomical long period of time, if they're continuing to talk about it, maybe you pose one question and they just going on and they just trying to rattle off every bad thing that this person ever did to them, yeah, maybe not. So, next up, celibacy claims. Ha, this is a good one. Okay, so if you are with a man, well, you're, you know, starting to date a man, okay? It is in this same scenario that I mentioned earlier. And maybe you all get to a point where you get to talking about values and you're talking about morals, and maybe you even talk a little bit about religion, and you're just getting to know each other, and you're just talking about different topics to see how you all feel about certain topics. Sure. Okay. And maybe at some point in the conversation, they say, well, part of my morals and my values is, something that I really value is my celibacy. I'm practicing celibacy, and I am, um, very serious about that. It means a lot to me. If that's a true statement, then hey, it's nothing wrong with it, right? If it's true. Okay, and of course, you're not going to be able to really know if somebody is practicing a celibacy type of lifestyle or not. You're not going to know that. If they're not going to be intimate and sexual with a partner, you're not going to know that for sure. They could tell you that, but sometimes that just might be a narc. So it's important for you to be listening and again, being very attentive to all of the other things that we've mentioned today and making sure that you're listening to that. Okay. Now, if they say that that's something that they're practicing, okay, I'm not saying that you shouldn't believe them. I'm just saying that you should be attentive and pay in and listen for inconsistencies and listen for, why they started, when they started, what made them, want to choose to go into celibacy and just to try to understand some background about it and not trying to make them feel guilty about it or not trying to say, well, oh my gosh, why would you do that? No, not like that, but just understanding what made you want to practice that and just trying to see if the answers match up to what sounds like realistic or if they get to a point where maybe they're talking bad about their ex again or maybe they are saying that it could even be a situation where maybe the relationship ended with their ex, and maybe they are getting around to saying something along the lines of, well, um, I just decided to be celibate because am, I just hadn't got, if they say they hadn't got over their ex, hey, that's another red flag. You don't want to be dealing with them yet, because I mean, clearly, if you haven't gotten over her, then you're not ready to move into a new relationship. That's for sure. So at the least, you're maybe potentially still in a toxic, you know, mindset. So hey, I'm not ready to start a new relationship with you at any point. So that could be it. And what I've also noticed is that some narcissists will say that they've been practicing celibacy as a way to try to gauge how you feel about sex and what your values are. Or either they may get vibes from you that you're practicing celibacy and they may say that they're practicing celibacy too, or maybe you didn't say that you're practicing celibacy. Maybe you just said, hey, I'm not really focusing on sex right now, I'm doing something else. Hey, I'm getting my mind into this, that, and third, blah 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 blah. Hey, I'm research. I like to research, so when I'm off, I'm researching, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, or whatever. Maybe you just kind of made it. Maybe when you just were talking to them about it, maybe you just try to, hey, listen, I'm not really focused on that right now. My mind is somewhere else. I'm preoccupied with other things right now. I'm not really focusing in on sex. If you mention that at any point, they may assume that you're practicing celibacy. If you say something like that, or, hey, I'm just writing, I'm really into my work, between working and, everything else, all my other responsibilities, I don't really have time to think about sex right now. You might say that. You may mean that, right? It may just mean, it's just, you may not necessarily be practicing celibacy on purpose per se, but you might just be really really dealing with some other things. If you say something like that and they follow up with they are practicing celibacy, you kind of have to question, are you just trying to sound like I sound right now? Or are you really practicing celibacy? So again, if someone was to make that claim, I'm going to ask them some questions because I want to know, I want to know the background on that. And I want to know, how long has it been or whatever. And I'm going to also ask them, well, how do what are some things that you do to deal with it? Or what are some things that you do to keep your mind, occupied on other things? I'm going to be asking those types of questions. And not, like I say, not to be offensive, but just to make sure to try to see if I can identify any inconsistencies in that story, or just to try to see if I can figure out any kind of inconsistencies um, regarding anything that they're saying, because you know that they want to mirror you. and they will. They want to mirror you so that they can try to make you feel like, oh, wow, we have so much in common. Oh, wow, we have so much in common. And really, in fact, you may not have anything in common, but they're just going to say that they like what you like. They like what you like. They like what you like. They do what you do. And they're trying to mirror everything that you're saying so that you feel like soulmates. And then eventually they can say, "Oh, I know you're the one." And you may be like, "Wait, what? How do you know I'm the one? You only knew me for a month." And if you hear some stuff like that, oh yeah, they're definitely a narc. They need to go. All right. And I have another one for you all. Another early sign. If they're constantly trying to take up all your time, oh, they're a narc. If you wake up to text messages every morning saying, "Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, how are you? Good morning, how's your day going?" And then you wake up to text messages or you have text messages throughout the day. "Hey there, just thinking about you. Oh, I miss you." Or at nighttime, "Good night, wonderful. Good night, princess. Good night, beautiful." And you also have, an occasional voicemail where they done called because they want to talk to you so bad. And they're talking about how they miss you. "Oh, I miss you so much." And it's been 2 weeks. They're a narc. If they're talking about how much they miss you and they just want to be with you and they can't wait to spend time together and they're waiting and they want to spend time with you tonight and they want to spend time with you on Friday night and they want to spend time with you on Saturday night and they want to spend time, they're a narc. They're trying to love bomb you. They're trying to reel you in and they're trying to suck up all your time, I'm gonna say. They're trying to suck up all your time. And especially if, and like I said, in this early scenario that I mentioned earlier, we're assuming that these things are happening over the course of several weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So in the first 2 to 3 weeks, if they're exhibiting these signs, these are some, yeah, symptoms, all right. These are some symptoms that you might be dealing with a narc. So you got to be on alert. You guys got to be paying attention, looking, listening, watching, observing. Look at their body language. Look how they act. Look at their facial expressions. Now, some of these narcs out here, they've been doing this so long, they can lie with a straight face. They're not gonna they look, they're not gonna be blinking. They're not gonna be twitching their eye. They're not gonna be looking to the left. They're not gonna be doing none of it. They're not gonna have no wrinkle in their forehead when they talking. They're not gonna have none of it. They're gonna be able to lie straight to your face and tell you everything that they think that you want to hear. Mm-hmm. Sure are. But it's important that you pay attention. And these are not all of them. I mean, there are other things that you can kind of try to pick up on too. See if I can try to think of a few extra bonus ones to throw in here at the end. But you got to be on the lookout for these things. Something else is if they oh yeah, if they offer you to go out of town, don't go out of town with them if you don't know them. Listen, if you're not comfortable, you're not comfortable. And don't let them tell you otherwise, right? If you're not comfortable going out of town with somebody, then you're not comfortable going out of town with them, and that's okay. And they need to respect that. And if they say any of them little snarky comments, guess what? They're a narc. So stay away. Stay away. Narc alert. Okay. Also, if there happens to be anything where maybe you're telling them, hey, maybe they say, hey, can we get together this weekend? Can I see you this weekend or whatever? Can we hang out? And you say, well, actually, this weekend I have something else going on. I already pre-planned something. I got to take care of whatever, whatever it is. And you may go into detail. And you may potentially tell them what it is, or maybe not. Maybe you just say, hey, well, listen, I'm gonna be hanging out with some friends or whatever it is that you say. If they say anything that's a devaluation statement, they're a narc. Okay, you need to steer clear. They may say something along the lines of, "Oh, wow, you're going out with your friends again?" Yeah, sure am." Or man, you sure hang out with your friends a lot, or anything like that. Any kind of little snarky remark, guess what? They are narc. I like that. And yes, you heard it here first. Snarky remark, you might be a narc. Yeah. they are a narc. If they have an issue with you wanting to spend time with your friends, or especially if it's something that you already had pre-planned before they ask you at the last minute to do something, it may be something that you really want to make sure that you are listening out for and that you are aware of. They may also have a way of, like I said, trying to make, again, that's still trying to kind of make you feel bad about going somewhere or doing something with them. They may be asking you out on a date. Maybe you're not ready to go on a date with them. Maybe you're not ready to go on a date with them yet. Maybe you just still want to go and, maybe meet them at the maybe meet them at the gym or something. Maybe if you met them at the gym, maybe just like, hey, well, let's just work out together for today. Maybe that's where you're at. And maybe they're like, hey, let's go on a date. I want to take you to a restaurant. And you're like, uh-uh, maybe you're not ready for that. So again, any types of things that's trying to make you, feel guilt trip and guilt and shame you into not wanting to operate on their schedule, on their time, then yeah, you definitely are dealing with someone who could be a potential narc. So again, steer clear, pay attention, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, listen out for anything that sounds suspicious. Make sure that you're looking out for, just to wrap this up, everyone, love bombing statements, gaslighting, any kind of snarky remarks, guilt tripping, trying to guilt trip you and shame you into feeling bad about your values, or about trying to devaluation, using devaluation statements, or trying to minimize something that you already had planned, or something that you're already doing, or any type of contribution that you're making to society or whatever. If they're trying to bring that down, yeah, you know it. You're dealing with an narc. Also, any inconsistencies about their past, if you notice that that's keep on coming up, and you having basically you're having some consistencies with inconsistencies. I crack myself up. So any type of that sort of thing, hey, be on the lookout for that. Steer clear. Also, if they constantly have a whole series of stories about their crazy ex or crazy exes, chances are the common denominator is the narc. um, any types of celibacy claims that just kind of come about in a time period that is like maybe right after you mentioning that, hey, you're not, maybe you're not focusing in on sex right now. If you say some statement like that and they follow up with, a day or two later saying that they're practicing celibacy, chances are that's probably not quite true, because if it were, they probably would have led with that, or said that, before you made your specific statement about, um values. They may be trying to mirror, so look out for the mirroring. If every time you say something they got pretty much a similar situation going on, um be on the lookout for that. Wanting to spend up all your time, wanting to suck up all your time. Basically, they think that they just assume that they're supposed to get with you every weekend. They get on the phone and talk and talk and talk forever, or either get together and go on all these dates and that sort of thing. If they're trying to suck up all your time for the weekend, uh don't do it. And then if they are trying to say anything that is trying to make you feel bad about anything at all, again, if they are a normal person, a normal man is not going to try to make you feel bad about who you are. Okay. But if they do, again, they may be a narc. And if they're a narc, you definitely don't want to be trying to pursue some sort of a long-term relationship with those folks. All right. Please, please, please like this video if you enjoy this content. Please subscribe if you enjoy this content. And of course, I'd love for you to share this video with other folks. So many times, I just got to say, so many times people are dealing with narcissistic relationships. And number one, they don't even realize what a narcissistic relationship even is, first of all. Because a lot of people, they've heard that word thrown around, but they don't even know what that means. Most people, if you just ask them. If you were to ask them, they would not even know what it is. Okay. And then if they do know what it is, they don't think it's happening to them, right? And another thing is, some people are going to just think that it's really, really complicated to even figure out what that is. So they're not going to look it up. They're not going to research it. They're not going to look it up, and they're not going to know. So if you know that you're sitting here listening to your friend talk and talk and talk, and she's having challenges within her relationship or within the dating world, please share this video with them. It's important, ladies, that we stick together and that we also teach other women about this narcissism thing. They got to know about it because you know what? This thing right here, it happens in a vacuum. It does. It happens in a vacuum, and before you know it, they get sucked in, and then they're trapped in this narky relationship, and it's really hard to exit. It's really hard to exit. It's not impossible to exit, but it gets harder to exit a narky relationship the longer you stay in it. The trauma bond, it comes on thick, and you just are trapped in that relationship until you figure out what's happening. Number one, come out of denial. Number two, and be able to really understand what's happening and not deny what's happening. For you not to gaslight yourself. And then sometimes it takes an external source. And that's where you all come in at. If you're listening to this channel right now, again, check in with your girlfriends. See how they're doing. Have a girls' night out. Talk about relationships. Talk about some of these vocabulary terms. Talk about some of these different signs to look out for, and make sure that nobody in your circle is having to deal with these narky relationships. Because this right here, this turns into a whole ugly ball of, yeah, I'm gonna leave that statement alone. But anyway, make sure that you share this video with other ladies in your circle, and you may even have some gents in your circle. Maybe you're, cousins or friends with someone who is a male who may be dealing with a narc female, and the same things are going to apply. Um, so you may want to just share this with someone. Share this with someone because again, people who are in these narcissistic types of relationships, this is happening to them and they're hurting on the inside after a while, right? They're dealing with this and they're confused. Their mind is off. They're confused. They're lost. They're not understanding. They keep trying to explain themselves. They keep trying to show proof to the narc or to the potential narc that this is what you said, but this is what you did. They're struggling, they're by themselves, and then they will start to self isolate. So please, please, please check in with your friends. Make sure everybody's all good. Make sure they're telling you the truth. Sometimes they say, oh, girl, everything okay. Girl, everything might not be okay. So check in with your friends, double, triple check with them, see if there's anything you can do to support them. And certainly, if you see these reactions happening or these different things happening, please share this video with them so that they can get out before it's too late. And so that they can be able to live in happiness and dazzle, glow, and sparkle in all that they do. Thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate you for tuning in today. And of course, if you have anything that I may have left out in this particular list of early signs, please put those in the comments. Love to hear that there. And maybe we can make some additional videos about some of those topics that you all may come up with there. So bye for now. Dazzle, glow, and sparkle in all that you do.